friends, it's Jeff. We're celebrating here at Around the Circle. Our Start Here podcast, which helps folks find their type, has been the #1 Enneagram podcast on iTunes all year. This podcast channel just passed 6,000 subscribers and 2 million downloads, and we're closing in on 1,000 free members at aroundthecircle.org. More than this is the 1-year anniversary of our book. Around the Circle is out on Amazon. Kindle version is just $9. Audio version has all kinds of extras, or you can get the uber fancy print version, which has our mistyping guide. But more than this, we're moving to want to connect with you more. Real Enneagram work. We have been very aware recently. Real Enneagram work often requires real conversations. And so as we enter the next season, we're going to focus on creating more online panels and workshops. So this month, we're talking with members about coping style and how each of the types solves problems on Mondays. Our second Saturday workshop will begin hitting a new topic in August when we have 30 or 40 people assemble. And every Tuesday night, we continue to have our reading room, which presently we are wrapping up Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart. It's on emotion and exploring how emotions overlap with the Enneagram. Also next month, and this is new, I'm going to begin speaking exclusively with men about their experience of the Enneagram. We don't often hear from men reflecting on their inner lives in these spaces, but those who do engage the Enneagram often have extraordinary stories to tell. So I'm going to try and get men together, talk shop. So if you want to connect, very easy. Go to aroundthecircle.org. Sign up for a free membership, and you will get all of our announcements, all the links to all of our free stuff. Or if it's time for you and your family to do some serious work, become a $20 member. All the links to our online classes and conversations will open up for you, and we would love to meet you. That's what I got for this month. I'm Jeff. May all good things be yours.
Hey everybody, welcome to Early Access. Before we get into today's show, if you have been listening to the episodes lately, you'll know that at the beginning of July, I released an announcement about a new cohort program in Cincinnati. So Joey Shuey and I are going to be partnering together to teach a cohort. Next year, 2027, there are 4 weekends where everyone will gather in Cincinnati. There's going to be a group, hopefully between 20 to 40 people, and we are going to deep dive into Enneagram together. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, I will link the application in the show notes. There will also be an FAQ there. If you have any questions, you can message me on Instagram. You can send me an email. I would love, love, love to see you there. If you are thinking about it, you should send the application in. You can always say no later. But we would love, love, love to have you. Thank you all for being here. I so appreciate everyone who opens these podcasts. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to Early Access. I'm Katie Whitlock. I am here with my friends Jeremy and BJ. It is lovely to see both of you again. Thanks for being here.
Hi, yeah. Thanks for having us.
Hey, how's it going?
If anyone recognizes both of their voices, they have both been on the podcast before. They both did individual interviews with me back when I was doing those. So I'm very excited to see you both here again today. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
We are going to pretend like nobody has heard those other episodes, just in case people listening to this have not listened to those. So I'm going to have you introduce yourselves as if it's new. Jeremy, I'll start with you because you were on Early Access first. If you can introduce yourself.
I appreciate that.
Of course. Who you are, what you do, how you came into the Enneagram.
Yep.
Any slights against BJ that you want to include?
Oh, don't give me permission for that. Don't give me permission to do that because this will be a very long show.
I'm going second, so go for it.
Yeah. My name is Jeremy, or a lot of people. BJ is one of the few people who still calls me Jeremy, but a lot of people know me as Remy. I am an Enneagram 4 Wing 5. I currently am a video editor, sort of freelance, but I also run sound for a local venue here in town and run an open mic here in town. I still do a lot of music-related things, even though I think when I was on the show last, I was tour managing and doing music myself, and I've stopped all of that, and I'm just doing the sound stuff right now. So that's kind of... Video is my day job, though.
Fun. And can you tell people your short version of how you got into the Enneagram? It was your church, right? If I remember correctly.
No, it was actually, and I guess kind of. It was was married at the time, and my sister-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
So she worked for a company or an organization called Love Thy Neighborhood in Louisville, Kentucky. And part of their internship program is they take their interns through the Enneagram. And so she was really high on that at the time. And so she took me and my wife at the time, now ex-wife, through that. We took a exam, a pretty extensive one, and then got a bunch of info on what that means. And it was all pretty accurate to my upbringing and kind of how I interact with the world. And so it was through that. And then it kind of just followed me sort of under the radar for the last 10 years. So
Cool.
yeah.
All right, BJ, go ahead.
Hi, I'm BJ. So I am an Enneagram 2. I'm a drum set player. I was a percussion major in college, a music major. And I work for a music company here in town. We deal with schools and just, other kinds of musicians around the area. The way that I encountered the Enneagram was because of Jeremy, basically. And it wasn't a suggestion. He was basically like, if you don't do this, you're really dumb because you would learn a lot about yourself.
That's a lie.
That is how he talks about me a lot.
Is that exactly what you said?
That's
pretty,
a full-on lie.
That was pretty close. At first, he was like, dude, you would really like this. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, don't be dismissive. You need to like it immediately. And because it was my idea. And so, no, I'm kidding. But that's, he introduced it to me through Sleeping at Last and a couple other, like he sent me some good tests. And I tested as a 2. And he was like, that makes sense. And I said, I don't know. There might be some stuff. And he was like, no, that's
That's pretty correct.
So, and Jeremy and I have been hanging out for years and years, talking about that sort of thing as well. So it's been
almost
my introduction to that.
It's been it's like 8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So walk me through how you
7 or
met.
8, yeah.
I imagine it was something music related. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. Well, no, meeting wasn't. We ended up playing music together, and that was the whole point of us like getting together. I met Jeremy at a crawfish boil. And I was not in any condition to meet anybody or be around people at that crawfish boil. Like I had alcohol. And so my friend who I was there with was like, hey, there's this guy named Jeremy. And Jeremy's like sitting on the couch playing guitar, he seemed fine. I didn't know for sure.
Based on your
Derby
own
Day.
judgment, he seemed fine.
Yeah, so I, finished the evening, I guess if you could call it that, and then turns out like Jeremy was like, "Oh yeah, we should play in this band." Our mutual friend was playing bass for him already at the time, and so they needed a more routine drummer, and I showed up and never left, and I think that's really annoyed him that I haven't left yet.
You're one of the only people who stuck around. So,
yep.
I have to be real honest. I don't want to get on a tangent, but I do not remember this crawfish boil.
Had you also had alcohol, or it just?
It was at Cole Newman's apartment.
Oh, you were there at that one?
Yeah, that's where I met you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, see, my first memory of meeting you was at this it was called a Boys of Summer party at a bar where he was playing drums with the bass player that I knew. And he was, again, also incredibly drunk that night as well. But he wound up playing shirtless that night, and
nobody asked for that.
No one did. But so all of that was kind of a blur because we both met through this bass player guy who he had been playing with. And then, I was starting a band. I had just gotten out of the hospital. I recommend going back and listening if you can find my episode where I talk about that a lot. I don't want to get into all that. But I got out of the hospital and started trying to play music again. And I was looking for band members. And the guy that the bass player, he was like, yeah, I play with this drummer. We could probably do stuff for you. And I remember meeting at that party at Leftwoods. And I guess you were at the crawfish boil. I don't remember that. But I also was surrounded by a bunch of strangers that I didn't know.
He was just one of many.
Same here.
Mm-hmm. But then, he showed up we had a show at a venue one night, and our friend Colin was like, yeah, I'll have BJ, I'll send him the music and we'll learn it. And he showed up. We showed up like at 4 p.m. to get set up, and that was the first time I really talked to BJ was the night we were playing. In my memory, obviously there's other stuff that I don't remember, but the vivid memory I have is him showing up at the Golden Light, the venue we were playing at. We'd never rehearsed any music, and he sat down behind the drum kit, and he played this set of music for my band, just cold. And after that, we just kind of kept doing the thing. He and I wound up talking about music and the similarities of the stuff that we came up listening to, and the world we came up in was pretty similar. And those are the earliest memories I have. So
because this is a relationship podcast, talk to me. I'll just open it up. Talk to me about what kept y'all together. So you're a 4 and a 2 being friends. What is easy about that? What is good about those two numbers together?
Nothing at all. Like in the strictest sense of like the numbers alone. Yeah, great podcast, guys. Thanks.
Thanks for having us, Katie. We'll see you later.
In the strictest sense of like the numbers themselves, like by definition, like there could be a lot of push and pull there.
Sure.
And I don't even know if we really have that though. Ours is pretty unique. I'm very thankful that Jeremy is an emotionally intelligent human being, especially as a dude. That's super cool. And I often look for that in male friendships because I haven't had very many that were. So, that's refreshing, and it often, kills any issues that we would have, that we can have conversations and spend time together. The easy things are that, like, if Jeremy and I sit down together at a place, I mean, we could be there for hours. When he first moved to, like, our town specifically, and I used to live in a town about an hour away, and I would go see him there, but we would, I mean, we're going to sound ridiculous, but, like, we had this bar that we would go to all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean, like, maybe 4 nights a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And sometimes we'd both be broke, and he'd call me after I got off work and go, you want to go up to the bar? And I'd go, well, I can't, I'm broke. And he'd go, well, I found $12 in my jacket. And we'd go, yeah. And we'd go there because beer was like $2. Yeah. And so we'd be there for like 6 hours. So it's not like we're getting trashed or anything. Right. We're just like sitting there being ridiculous in the corner. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we ever really got tired of each other doing that either. It was just kind of a shared, like we both needed something, you know?
Well, and I think what has been, because I think what you asked was what was easy. Did you ask what was easy?
I asked what was easy and what was good. So if those are two separate things,
easy and good,
feel free to say.
So I think what was easy is, and I to some degree from my perspective on my end, I credit some of my trauma responses to making it easy. Through therapy, I've been discovering that I'm incredibly hypervigilant about the people around me. So it requires, my brain requires me to consider whether or not I've disappointed the people in my life all the time. And so any inclination I would have to take advantage of BJ's helpfulness, most times, I'm not saying all the time because I know he would probably have instances where it has happened, but most times I'm also keenly worried that I am taking advantage of him, and I don't want to do that because of how much I care. I don't. At the end of the day, it's like I don't want him to leave.
Right.
You know, and so, and for some people that's a hard thing to get to, is to realize like, oh, the things I'm doing might run people off, so they just kind of like walk through the world like bumping into everything and having no idea they're doing that. But like the season of life that I was in when BJ and I met, as someone who BJ cares deeply for his people and he wants to help them however he can, I was in a state where I felt directionless, and I felt like I had failed a bunch of people because, you know, my friend had just passed away probably a year before I met BJ, and I didn't know if I was ever going to be valuable to anybody ever again. And BJ, I think, had an inclination to say, no, this guy's my friend, and I know that the thing he's going through right now is very real and painful, and I want to help him, even if it gets difficult helping navigating this stuff with him. And BJ is one of those people. At this point, this show sounds like we're just glazing each other.
We'll get to the bad. We'll get to the bad stuff later.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm sure he can't wait. But for me, it was BJ is an incredibly good friend who considers people over himself to a fault, where it's to his detriment sometimes. And I was someone who needed very desperately to be seen. And he was willing, one of the few people at that time who was willing to see me even when I was probably the most difficult to be around. And that was, I think, good. But also when it came to like creatively, I think something that was easy was I had a plan for what I wanted to do with our music, and BJ was like, cool, how can I make that happen? And it's weird saying all that because what it sounds like is, oh, I'm getting a lot from this guy and he's doing a whole lot. And that's where I'm like, okay, but how can I make sure that I'm not taking advantage of that, but that this is just sort of what's naturally coming to both of us, you know?
BJ, how do you remember that time, that early time where Remy's talking about, I needed somebody, all the things. What do you remember?
Yeah, so in the sense of like being an Enneagram 2, a lot of those components involve being useful. I don't even know if helpful seems a little reductive. Useful seems more like accurate to me. And so
very quickly, talk about the difference in those two things. Those sound like the same word to me.
Helpful can be like, hey man, yeah, you want to, push my car to the gas station?
Okay.
Or you know what I mean? Like it can be a wide range of things. Useful is like rich all the time in my brain of like, no, we're doing something here. And in kind of a weird way, like it's really funny hearing you say that, Jeremy, because like, and specifically saying like, I don't want to take advantage of his like, usefulness or helpfulness or willingness to be there kind of a thing, when like that's the thing that gives me life in the first place. It's like just wanting to do that and being able to do that is like, that's what I want. And so I remember specifically, this is the best way I can sum it up. There was a night you and I were at the bar and you kind of looked at me, and we had a few, and you looked at me and said, why are you doing this? And I was like, because we had an extra $20 and we're, here we are, there's a band playing. And you were like, no, like, why are you hanging out with me? And I was like, you need somebody to hang out with. And you said, well, what about you? And I said, well, you're here. And I don't know if you really remember that, but like, I wasn't alone either. And that was the beautiful thing about that, was like, we both needed some kind of companion to make things normal or to make things bearable or whatever it was. And that's why it was like, yeah, that wasn't hard at all, because it was like, we both needed that and we both got that on a regular basis, like on demand, basically. So I would say that's a very good thing in addition to being easy, because we didn't really have to try.
Right.
Like there wasn't, all we had to do was find money in our pockets and go, hey, or like book a gig and then we would just go like play and have fun. And, or like, man, I remember going to Lubbock so often with our guitar player at the time, and we would be up till 4 a.m. just playing Super Smash Brothers or doing whatever we were doing, just being guys, or having a bonfire in the back and doing silly things, So, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of mundaneness to what we were doing, and that's exactly what Jeremy and I both needed, I think, and for different reasons. And to different severities.
Right.
I think he really needed it, and I really liked it and was like, yeah, this is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? So it was very mutual the entire time we've been friends.
So I had one question for, I'm going to start calling you Remy now. Remy.
You call me whatever
I know,
you
I feel
want.
like I say something different every time it comes out of my mouth.
I'm just a slow learner. Like I'm the one on the curve here.
Yeah, it's been almost a
haven't picked it
decade and
up.
he's still dead naming me.
Sorry.
So while we're talking about the beginning of this relationship, sometimes people who don't know a 2 really well, like Jeff Cook always tells me this. He says 2s are one of the hardest numbers for him to get to know, because 2s, want to be useful, and part of that is sometimes not letting you in as well, right? Because they want to come into your life and you don't always get to come into theirs. Yeah. Was that true at the beginning? Like you said, it's been a decade. It's probably not true now.
Yeah.
Did you feel that at the beginning with BJ? Like, oh, this guy's a hard guy to get to know, like really, really get to know? Or no, was it right away you guys got really deep, learned a lot about each other, all the things?
I think it was, I don't think it was that difficult to get to know BJ, but also, and this is, I think, me just kind of owning the season, those early years, owning that season of my life. I also, gosh, this is going to sound so awful. I also don't think I was that interested as much in getting to know BJ deeply as I was that he was being a friend that I needed, right? And by nature, us hanging out, let me see if I can redeem what I just said about myself. I think what happened in our friendship is that just naturally, because a lot of our friendship surrounded talking, because we sat in our little space in the bar 4 nights out of the week just talking about stuff we remember as kids and the things we were going through. We were just naturally getting to know each other because we just really liked talking. But it wasn't ever like a concerted effort because I think fours can kind of sometimes be guilty of, if there's not depth there, we're not interested. There was a part of me that was like, as long as they're interested in my depth, I'm cool.
Sure. Yes, I do. I'm right next to you. I understand.
Yeah. So there was part of it that was that, but also it was just like the nature of, we were both I think being in a band together, that lends itself to, well, we have this thing that we're doing together, so we're just going to be around each other anyway. And then our friendship was also happening. So there were opportunities to get to know each other. And then obviously over the years, usually, weirdly, what's so funny about BJ is BJ's attempts to be helpful and useful, some of those attempts are by using experiences of his own life as examples to help me understand something that he's trying to get me to grab a hold of. So I learned about him and the depth of who he is while he's trying to be helpful. He's like, hey, when you're going through this thing, let me tell you a story about like me and my dad when I was like 12. And that is how I sort of, while he's trying to be useful and helpful in my situation, whatever I need at that time, he's also opening himself up because he knows that is helpful. Right. I don't know if BJ would verbalize it that way, but that is what's happening usually.
Do you have any comments, BJ, on any of that?
Yeah, he's right. It was purely like I was more interested, and this is gonna make him sound really bad. I don't actually mean it that way, okay? He's right in that, like, he wasn't really looking for that, but for every good reason. I mean, he had just dealt with a lot of trauma, like not very long before I met him, and so that was honestly my magnet to him. And I think the catalyst for our friendship in the first place, which is really hilarious because he needed help. So I went, ooh, I do that. I can do that. And he went, oh, he wants to come here and like be involved. So his like, if I can say it this way, his ego was like neat, like cool. Sure. Someone's interested in like being around. And that was the magnet for both of us. It's like, yep, he's right. And so because of that, like, I think it was very organic, like he's saying. There wasn't, even with Jeremy, like I was learning about things about him that weren't part of, I mean, gosh, for like the first several months I knew him, it was like, I knew that something really awful had happened to him. I knew the details of that thing mostly. And I knew we were in a band together. Yeah. And I knew what kind of music he liked. And then everything evolved on top of that. Now I know a whole lot more about him than those things, obviously. Than I think most people would know too. It really did just kind of balloon that way. But I don't think we ever really had difficulty with that either. Everything just kind of came to us as we needed it.
One of the things I really respect about twos, and I talked to this with my mom a lot, is that twos are really good at going through phases with their friends, I feel like. And I say that because I'm horrible at it. If I feel like a friend and I are in a bad phase, I'm like, it's over. And I'm done. Like, it's over and I'm done, right? Mm-hmm. But I so admire the twos in my life because they can look at someone and say, this is just a season for them. You know what I mean? Maybe our friendship is going to be this way for a little bit. And then maybe later it'll be different. Maybe later it'll be switched or whatever, right? It'll be different in some reason, in some capacity. BJ, is that, first of all, do you think that's true for you? And is that conscious for you? Or, I don't know, do you know any other way to be?
I think through some, full disclosure, I had some really difficult, like, best friend male friendships growing up. Like 3 or 4 major friendships that I had that ran their course. I don't know another way to put that. And all 4 of them ended up, and like this is no discredit to that person each time. It really was like a logical, like, okay, that person's going that way. That's kind of where I've ended up, where I'm like, that's just where they want to go. Let them go there. And I think we talked about that in my episode a little bit too. But primarily, like, it would come from this place of like, I am useful to them or helpful to them or available to them. And then if that changed at all, they were like, oh, he is a jerk. Like, never mind. Like, I don't like him at all. Like, I can't believe he betrayed me. And it was like, whoa. And so for the longest time, I did have like a defense mechanism of like approaching more along the lines of like, oh, okay. Like, no, we're super done. Yeah, actually, that makes sense. Like, I don't care what you think now. And that's not really the case with Jeremy. It's even like if he and I have a disagreement, it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm sure we'll get it figured out. We just need to do that instead of a like, you know, what is this going to mean for the future? You know, it's more of like, okay, well, you know, there's not really, we have a much stronger foundation than those previous friendships that I had, I think. And just more mutual respect for each other because of what we've been able to do for each other. Yeah, he just made a face. I want everybody to know that. And I'm not going to describe the face either.
Remy, what do you think about that? Do you also have that voice that's like, oh, this is, we're just it'll be fine? Or
no,
do you,
no, not at all.
What's your...
No, my fear is always they're going to leave. This is confirmation that the things that I am and do are too much for people, and I have now given them the correct piece of information to give them the out to leave.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of work in the last year of trying to get over that because, like we were saying before the show started, like BJ and I literally had what I'm telling people is like our first fight, and it really wasn't a fight, but it was like, there was just, like you're saying, there's like seasons that we go through, and BJ has been a lot better about being able to navigate those differences of seasons. BJ and I, our friendship, we were both single at the time, and now he's married, and I've been in this long-term relationship with my partner for about 4 years. And so that's changed our dynamic entirely. We don't play in a band together anymore. So like that's another avenue of us hanging out that doesn't happen. He and I have both kind of like not necessarily sobered up, but we're definitely not drinking near as much as we used to in our, late 20s, early 30s. So like that is another part of it, that there's just all these dynamics that have changed, that for BJ, he's like, well, we're still friends, and I've had to shift kind of my perspective of like, yeah, we are still friends, and really consider what that looks like, because like our kind of fight was like, I didn't take into account The fact that because we don't see each other as often, at the end of the day, like, we joke around with each other and we're kind of like jokingly mean to each other, but that's all that has been happening. And when that's all that happens and there's not the other, like, us hanging out and bonding and talking about, like, hey, how's your marriage going? Like, how's this going? How's work? All of that stuff. When we don't have any of that, and it's just like every time I see him, like, flipping him off jokingly, you know what I mean? Like, that can wear on anybody. And that's been like having to recognize that that's happening. And then when we have that conversation where I can sense that something's different and that I've actually hurt my friend's feelings, of like figuring out what happened and us talking through that, I'm having to fight real hard of, oh, this is BJ's opportunity to say, I'm good. See you later. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. Eventually, it just happened way later than I thought. And I'm done with you, dude. You know?
So that last part, the, okay, I'm done, is that like a reaction so that he can't do it first? Like, is that...
Oh, well, the I'm done is, I should say, the I'm done is him saying it. Okay. It's my expectation of him. So my defense is to just assume or predict as often as possible every possible outcome of what could happen. I assume every reason BJ would find to say, I'm done being Jeremy's friend. And I put that in my head so that I'm ready for it if it ever happens.
Yeah.
That's what's going on with me. And I have to fight to not do that because BJ has done a great job as a friend to establish I'm not going anywhere. Like, he said that in so many words. Like, I'm not going anywhere, dude. Like, you're my friend and I want to help and I want to, like, we're homies. Like, we're in this thing forever. Yeah. You know? And I have to remind myself that because he makes it pretty known, you know?
BJ, how do you...
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just going to say I'd like to take credit for Jeremy going to therapy at all because I used to tell him when he would say stuff like this, I would literally say, get over yourself, you loser. Yeah. Like, I would... And like, he's right. Like, we banter a lot. And our fight was over that because it was like I kind of quit doing it because I just missed my friend, knowing that like it wasn't going to be the same way all the time. Right. Like, we weren't going to get to hang out the way we used to. That would be unhealthy if we were still hanging out that much.
4 nights a week. Yeah.
Yeah, like just getting loaded, you know, like that's dumb. Yeah. And like, I'm glad we did it as long as we did. But, you know, I remember one of those nights specifically as kind of the beginning of our banter. Like, he was talking about something and I said, oh man, but you're a good dude. Like, you'll get through this. And he was like, that's stupid. Don't say that. And I just said,
don't try to encourage me.
So I just said, you're always screwing things up. And I just flipped a switch and was like, okay, I'll give you what you want.
Here you go.
And he just looked at me like, and he started laughing. And I was like, I figured it out. I know how to make him laugh now. And so to the point where like when we had this fight the other day, I was telling my wife about it and she goes, I mean, when I first met you guys, I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get the dynamic at all. And she's like, I don't know. I still don't know if
these guys like each other. Like, what is
but it was like, it's the classic, like, I wouldn't do that if I didn't like him kind of a thing, you know? But yeah, when that becomes the only component, it does get pretty frustrating. But that just, like, we just brought that up and just went, hey, like, can we re-examine this a little bit? Because it's starting to wear on me. But at no point, like, I knew he was probably thinking about, like, I'm bailing. And now I'm just going to weaponize that against him all the time and just be like, hey, man, if you want to be friends with me anymore. Like, no, I'm not going to. I'm kidding.
So that's what I'm hearing is that if you're a friend with a 4, you should use that to your advantage, actually.
Oh, 100%. Twist the knife. 100%.
Capitalize on their fear of abandonment.
Yeah. Even go dark for a few hours. Yeah. Just don't text them back for like 6 hours. It'll work, I promise.
Oh, my God. That would drive me insane. It happens. But dude. You and BJ and my partner, for different reasons, like my partner has ADHD, so she just doesn't. Yeah, she won't forgets. Yeah, right. So like both of them, I will text or like I tried to call him before the show, and he didn't answer, and I'm like, this, oh man, like What
and
happened?
I knew it
Like,
too. That's why
yeah.
I didn't answer.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
was like, I'm gonna bug him. We're like 8 minutes out. I'm gonna bother
Yeah.
him.
mhm.
So I called
Yeah.
him back.
Okay, BJ. So what's your real advice to someone with a 4 for a friend, right? not the manager advice. To deal with this whole I know you're gonna leave. It's just gonna take time. Blah blah blah. All the things. What would you actually tell someone who is in relationship with a 4 of how you have learned how to deal with that?
Oh, don't trust them at all.
What does
like,
that mean?
And no, I don't mean like don't trust your
Yeah.
friend. I just mean like they're gonna have a lot of irrational things that they think, and it's typically a trauma response of some kind, like to something that's happened to them. So just be aware of like what they've gone through, and on multiple levels, and just know that it may be more out of proportion than like what would be quote unquote reasonable.
Right.
Because, like, you know, some people have responses to things that have happened to them, and you're like, well, God, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I'm also married to a 4, and she doesn't really have those things as much. But there can be responses that are just like, oh, okay, that does not match the energy of what happened
Right.
at all. But it's not because they're just trying to be dramatic or anything. I think a lot of times it can feel like they're just being dramatic. But there's just a lot of raw processing.
Talk more about that. What does that mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Jeremy like, do I have permission to talk about this?
Jeremy can cut us off at any point if he wants to.
Yeah, that's true. For example, there was a night that Jeremy had kind of a tough time processing some stuff. Some stuff came up at the bar. We leave. I did not let him drive home. And he didn't say anything. He like slammed the truck door and he like sat in there and he's just like pouting. He wouldn't look at me. He wouldn't talk. And we're like halfway down the road. And he goes, "I want Whataburger." And I was like, okay. So I pull into know, and we're like in line. And he just starts processing stuff out loud, like really, really visceral stuff. Specifically, he kept saying in regard to his friend that passed away, he was like, "It should have been me. It should have been me." And I finally stopped and was like, why do you think that? And he said, because, I just like, and he really didn't have an answer, but the answer didn't matter. It was just that he felt that way. There's not going to be logic in it every time. It's just going to be an emotion. So, and I use the word lightly, but if you're treating an emotion, like you're not medically treating it, but if you're, if you're treating like the logic behind the emotion, that's not a thing. Just look at how they're feeling and be there for that. You don't have to match their energy. You don't have to, commiserate even. You just have to listen and let them do it. And I'm not saying like I fixed my friend or anything like that. It was purely just like, I don't think that he would have really been able to process that healthily if he didn't have somebody to just sit there and take it.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt me
like-
either. That's the other thing is like it didn't affect me where I was like, oh man, like, he hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I feel bad for
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel awful.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
that was the extent.
Well, and I think it seems like I hate generalizing 4s because I think it drives us crazy. But I do think that to a degree, I think everybody has like a nerve that is like our feelings towards things. And I think for 4s, a lot of times that nerve is much more exposed.
Yes. Yeah.
So like a really like visceral, like physical example for me, I have a tooth that's broken in the back of my mouth. And so there's a lot of exposed nerves in there. And so if cold gets to it, or if it just sometimes will hurt, sometimes like the response is like, you want to like hit it, any sort of thing to just kind of like counter the feeling that's already happening. And I think sometimes that's what's happening whenever a 4 kind of has at the risk of sounding cliche, like a big feeling about something. It's because our nerves sometimes are more exposed than others. And that's how we process things. Because if it's not, I think for me specifically, if I'm not exploring those exposed nerves, then I don't really know if I'm living.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I have to explore the depths of those things, both good and bad. I think I might have said this in one of the solo episodes, but like a good day for a 4 consists of both incredible grief and intense euphoria. Like both of those things existing in one day is a good day, because we're exploring the full depths of what's happening inside of us and the world around us. And to have an avenue and a friendship with someone like BJ, who's like willing to go down those roads with you with as little judgment as possible and say, man, this is just how you're processing, and I'm going to walk through that with you, is incredibly helpful at the risk of feeding the need to be helpful.
Yeah. So that's my next question for you. So the whole just listen thing, right? Which I've heard fours tell me that. I've had friends of fours tell me that. Everybody says you just need to listen. You don't need to do anything, right? So I agree with that advice. Is that hard for you as a 2? Because a lot of people talk about 2s being fixers, like they want to fix things for you, right? But I'm also hearing you just say, I want to be useful. And I know that to be useful to Remy, I just need to listen. So is it hard to get to the just listening place? Or is it like, well, that's what I need to do to be useful, so that's what I'll do? Or is it easier to get there because you're more emotionally mature, right? Maybe when you were younger, it would have been harder. I don't know.
That last bit's pretty accurate.
Okay.
When I was younger, I was pretty preachy.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would just be like, well, don't do that. It's stupid. Why would you do that? And that nobody likes that at all. Like, I don't even like that. Why would I do that? But, I figured just running around and slapping Band-Aids on people's foreheads was going to be make me a superhero or something.
Sure.
But and I don't even think I really wanted to be a superhero. I just wanted to do something. But it definitely, it is kind of difficult. It takes practice is the way I would put it. Like for all the 2s or the people that lean this way where they're like, they want to be able to make something better or help something get better. When it comes to like listening, that's the long game. Listening and not touching it is like, if you're baking cookies, it's such a reductive like parallel. But like if you're baking cookies and you just go, I'm ready for them to be cookies now, and you pull them out, congratulations, you made hot cookie dough. That's not what that is, and you're not there yet.
Yeah.
It's not incubated.
Yeah.
It's not ready to go. Like, you have to let that happen. And I think that's true for everybody, not just for 4 type people.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think for 4s, it takes longer. And I do think it may be more complex, a little more colorful, if you will.
Right.
There will be more like interesting things that are said or done, or the amount of beanies that Jeremy has destroyed is more than 0. In fact, I think it's more than 2. One time we were in our buddy's backyard at a bonfire, and he was feeling himself, and he, not the way we say, like, I'm feeling myself. He was,
and not in a positive way.
He was not doing good. And he said, I'm going to throw my hat in the fire.
Okay.
And I said, why would you do that? And he said, because you deserve it. I said, you love that hat. It's bright yellow. Like, what's wrong with you? And sure enough, like, I look away for 2 seconds and I hear plop, and there's just this, and then he's like, why did I do that? And I'm like, because you're an idiot. That's why. Like, it's like objectively really funny, but like in the moment he was very like,
it was bad.
Very upset.
Right.
And it's great. I laugh at it too, because it is, he laughs at it. He's just annoyed that I'm talking about it on a podcast right now. But I'm sorry, man. This whole episode's going to be very bad for you.
Listen, man, I know a big bulk of our friendship was during like the time where I was experiencing all of those feelings. The thing I've learned in the last year is I don't know how to actually feel feelings. I know how to observe them and analyze them and understand why I'm feeling them. But I haven't been able to actually feel them. And there was a good 4 years where BJ and I were drinking a lot, and that unlocked my ability to just feel. I didn't have to participate in what was happening. My body got to feel the feelings I was having.
Yeah.
It was a rage room in a lot of
literally,
ways.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that was what was happening. Yeah. And so, of course, like, I'm going to try to do things that were like external expressions of what I was feeling internally. Fortunately, it was all self-harming in those ways, but like that, I think that was the fact that we have maintained our friendship this long. That's been helpful for me to kind of look back and reflect and say, okay, if BJ has been able to be my friend when I'm throwing hats in the fire like a moron, I think that he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Just one last thing about that too, like as far as the need to fix, we're in a season right now as friends where he doesn't have a lot of things to fix. It's the best part of our friendship. I do believe that he is open face laughing right now too. Now, and that's not to say like the previous part where he had a lot going on like sucked.
Right.
And it's not that he doesn't have anything going on. It's that like I've watched him cope, and I'm not grading him on that scale of how he coped, because I will probably have something that I have to cope with at some point, and I'm not gonna look great or act right, or it's messy.
All the things, yeah.
And it's a lot less messy now. He's gotten a lot of help. He has a great partner now. Like he's doing a bunch of different stuff that's a lot healthier for him. In fact, when he and I, mainly him, because he was kind of the brainchild of our band, obviously, like he wrote everything. I just played drums. But when he hung that project up, because he was like, a lot of these songs were about those really traumatic parts of my life, and I just don't feel like, I feel disingenuous still singing about them, because I've kind of processed all of that, and he kind of let that go. Like most mature thing I've seen him do. I hate it because I miss playing music with him a lot. I'm sure we'll figure something out. It was never the goal to like hang on to that forever, but getting to watch him like make that important call, because it was not easy for him to do at all. And it wasn't easy for me to say, call it good on that project either, but it was the right thing to do for him emotionally. And I even tried to talk him out of it just to like see if I could, and I couldn't, because he was very wistful about it, and I left that conversation being like, that is so funny. Like he it's almost like he just is mad that he's still holding on to it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. And that's why I say, like, play the long game. It's not a game, but like if you are there for somebody who is really struggling with a lot of really deep, real issues, there isn't much else you can do other than just show up and just be a person. And like, it makes me sound like some kind of crazy, like, great friend. It's not. It's just like you make a choice to just show up and do that. And it wasn't a very hard choice to make, because he's a lot of fun. And I don't know. I can't really speak for everybody else's situation, but that was kind of the logical progression for us. And it took years, but here we are, having our fights, and now we're
So, okay, I'm going to kind of switch it on its head. Remy, do you have anything else to say about that before I ask another question? Okay.
No.
So now I'm going to make BJ feel vulnerable, if I may. We've talked a lot about Remy feeling vulnerable, right? And the things that and how BJ, you helped him with that. Remy, I'm wondering, because I think 2s and me, 3s, we all deal with that shame, right? Like we've said, you have a lot of stories behind that, right? Very hard things that you dealt with. But Enneagram language, we all do deal with this kind of sense of shame. People are going to leave us, right? We just deal with it in all very different ways. So from the outside, looking at BJ as his friend, how do you see that in him? The shame that you share, and how do you think he deals with? How does it seem like he deals with it? That's different from you, or similar?
Yeah. So I don't think I see it as often, but again, to kind of like, I think it's kind of kismet that we had this like kind of tiny fight like a week ago, and now we're here, and I know, Katie, you didn't mean to do this, but you really facilitated a space for us to kind of heal some stuff that I had apologized, and we kind of worked through the general what was happening, but to really reiterate our friendship in this show has been really healing.
Good.
And so thank you for, you didn't mean to do that. We were here to talk about our Enneagrams.
Are you charging for this, by the way, Katie? We're kind of broke, but
Yeah. But to answer the question, like in this particular instance, the shame that when there's shame in BJ, from what I've seen, it's usually when it's when his needs or feelings get in the way of helping the people he cares about. Like that's where at least what comes to mind at first is I see it more evidently, because for him, when we were having this conversation and he's like, hey, the way you've been treating me lately has been hurting my feelings. And then he followed that up with like, and I feel stupid that it affects me.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's when his own needs get in the way, of him being able to be helpful. That's when I see it most evidently. And, it's one of those where it's like, well, you don't. Yeah, that's really all I could try to.
No, I think that's great.
Pontificate beyond that, but that's really where I see it.
Just the line of it's when his own needs get in the way of being useful. I thought that was great. BJ, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? And if you agree, I want to know, why does that trigger shame for you specifically?
I feel like the people I've met who are similar to me, like in their, I don't know, just the way they process stuff and think about things, we're all, I'm not going to say we're secretly like egotistical, but there is an element of that.
There's like a self-focus for sure.
Yeah, and not like a selfish thing, but like if I'm going to leave my mark on the world, I want to be invincible.
Sure, yeah.
And we're just not, and that's the trick to learning that, is like, okay, like I'm going to have my limits, and I'm going to have the things that upset me, and the best way to find those things too is to just look at yourself as if you're somebody else, and kind of analyze yourself as if you were listening to somebody else, which sounds crazy being that introspective, but I definitely, like, when my weaknesses are exposed, that's when I'm like, I should not be having this problem right now.
Because
I'm not the one who has this problem. The other people are the crazy people that have the problems, and I'm not. Like, I want to be the reliable, unwavering, unbending person. And everybody else can have all the problems. That's fine. It's because I am not equipped to help myself, right? Yeah. And so when that happens, I'm like, well, now what do I do? Find another me? That's crazy. No, and that's the beauty of it, is the healing comes from if you're feeling a certain type of way, if you're feeling vulnerable, like the healing comes from like just trusting another person with that. And that's what I did with Jeremy, is I just told him how I was feeling about it, knowing like the logical, like, I know this man was like, I know he's going to feel bad. Right. Like, that's not the goal, but I know he's going to, like, I know how he's going to respond to this. He's not going to double down if he knows that this is a real thing that I'm feeling. And he didn't. He did exactly what I thought he would, which is like, oh man, that's not what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And immediate resolution, where it was like, I knew that, I just needed to know, and I needed you to know, that sort of a thing. I mean, and I think in psychology, like we typically project more than we receive. Like when somebody behaves a way towards us, we go, well, that's not what I would do. Yeah. Instead of, oh, why are they doing that? You know, and
yes,
just like,
yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's a nice wake up call to be able to have that. But yeah, I do think he's exactly right about that.
That's great.
And I think it's interesting too, is what I think one helpful thing about me being a 4, him being a 2, is 4's stress number is a 2.
Yeah.
So the things he's saying, I understand, because I also think those things when I'm stressed out, like particularly like with my partner, where I'm like, oh, she's stressed about something or something's upset her, and I can't be, or if I'm dealing with my own stuff, anytime that I can't be helpful to her, whether it be because I'm dealing with something or she's just got her own things and I can't necessarily access what she's dealing with to fix it, I start to feel that shame that he's talking about the same way of like, oh, but I have to be the person to help and that's my response to like, oh, so that way people don't leave.
Yeah.
You know, so I think understanding each other in that way has been really helpful too.
Sure.
So anyway.
Funnily enough, I didn't even think about the stress line and security line until right now. Remy, you just talked about it. BJ, has that line been helpful for you at all? Because that's your security number. So my mom,
It's 4.
again, who's a 2, talks about it's so hard for her to get to 4. And she'll use the word, she hates this, so I'm sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this. She'll say her 2 brain tells her it's like selfish to care that much about yourself, right? And to want to be
100%.
that in your emotions. So is it helpful to have a friend who can say, no, this is how it can help you, right? Or just to watch how it can help you, whatever.
So much, especially because he comes across as like only caring about himself all the time. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Right.
No, but like, no, it is super helpful. And that's why I think I gravitated towards being closer to him a lot of the time, was because he would cut right through all of that and just be like, what are you doing? And there was this mutual like, okay, like we're both going to work some things out.
Right.
And it doesn't cost us anything. Like we're not, but yeah, it is difficult. It would be a whole lot more difficult for me to do without him. That's for sure.
And for me, it kind of ties into what we were talking about at the beginning, where I know, Remy, you brought up like, it sounds like just, and it sort of maybe was true for a little bit, like BJ was just helping me out for like a few years. You know what I mean? And I don't really know what he was getting out of it. And we talked about that. But maybe, BJ, the way you just talked about that, like, I say that my 9 fiance gave me back to myself. Like, he didn't really do anything. He just made a space where it was okay for me to learn about me. And maybe that's what Remy did for you too. You know what I mean? Like, oh, actually, it's okay to learn about yourself a little bit and to be that person, right? And to have needs and to have wants and all this stuff. So I don't know if you would agree with that. I heard a little bit of that there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before this friendship, I kind of felt like I was Robin to everybody's Batman. Like I was kind of the guy in the background, just pulling some strings and making sure everything went well and taking on some bad guys while the hero was doing, crazy stuff. And that's not really a component here. It's more of like Jeremy has kind of like not given me permission, but like reminded me that I have permission. To do those things. Yes.
Which is
for sure.
part of what I love that difference. Didn't give me permission because it's still, that's then looking towards someone else, right? But these numbers, 9 for me and 4 for you, these withdrawn numbers, they do literally remind you, oh, hey, by the way, that comes from you, right? That comes from you. I never gave you anything. So.
Well, one of the biggest challenges was we both worked on a mutual project, him in a different way than me, but he played on a project that ultimately kind of ended where I don't feel like he got as much credit as he should have gotten doing it. And I remember constantly pushing him to because he wanted to quit. And I mean, ultimately we both wound up leaving that project, but I kept pushing him hey, just hold out a little bit longer, long enough to get that bag, get the recognition, get the flowers that you deserve because you put all of this work in on this thing that people need to know and see, and you need to be celebrated for what you did in this piece of work that you were on. And he was always just kind of not at all interested. He's like, I don't care. And I think that there's a bit of admiration, but also I don't know if this is entirely true for him in that regard, but there also could have been a bit of that is that ego of look how cool I am that I don't actually care about what people think about me doing this thing and me getting my flowers. Me not caring about my flowers is actually more noble than just caring about whether or not I get the recognition or not. And I was just you need to be celebrated for this thing that you're doing that he otherwise probably wouldn't have.
Yeah. Do you, BJ, what do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I really didn't care at all. I have a huge aversion to fame. I think fame is bad for everybody. Both the people
Well, not
that
to get into this, but I wasn't talking about fame, but whatever.
I know,
Finish
but
it.
like, I mean, it's a component in this particular project. Like, it was
Sure,
gaining
sure.
a lot of attention
Okay.
and numbers and things like that. And we had just finished a record, and part of the problem, like when he was like, "Go ahead and get that bag," I never did. Never got paid a dime. In
Yeah.
fact, I lost
That's
money being in
crazy.
that project, which is part of the problem. But also, like,
The
Yeah,
sentiment is what I'm getting at, not the
Yeah,
end
and-
product
and
of what we're talking
I
about.
know, and like that was a component, but the sentiment was literally like, that's not why I do this. I do it because I like it. I do it because it makes me come alive, and it wasn't anymore. And and there's another component too, and it's gonna sound like it's low hanging fruit for me, but it's not. It's really how I felt about it. It's like when he was talking about me getting the admiration I deserved, he admired me. The other guys in that project admired me. My partner admired me. There were people in the crowd that admired me. I didn't need admiration.
Yeah.
I had a dose of it, so I had enough. Like, admiration or affirmation was not really what I was looking for
Sure.
in that group. So
And I
it was
think
like,
that was like me projecting, where we're talking about the sort of projections we put onto each other. Like that's like a really good example, is because I know he's going to say all that, and I'm still going to say, well, yeah, you still should have gotten
Yeah, right.
more flowers for what you were doing.
Probably,
But that's
but-
also, yeah, but there's also a lot of that is also like, because that's what I would
Right.
want
I would
too.
want it too. I'm with
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay, so I have to ask you my wrap-up question because we're at an hour.
Yeah.
So this is the one I use for friends now. So this is a hypothetical situation. Imagine someone comes up to you and they just met your friend. So BJ, they just met Remy. Remy, they just met BJ. And they said, oh, that guy's so cool. I know you're his friend. Can you tell me a little bit about what it would take to be a good friend to him? Whoever wants to go first, what would you tell someone about what it takes to be friends with your friend?
just trust him.
In what? What does
That's
that mean?
what I would say. If you're walking up to Jeremy, just trust that he's going to be a genuine person. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. You may not like it, but it's going to be good criticism.
And true, yeah.
It's going to bring something up you haven't thought about. Trust that process and just trust him. He's not going to be. I've seen Jeremy be a lot of crazy things. I've never seen him be vindictive unless it's against artificial intelligence.
Word.
Like, dude, he really hates AI. And so do I. We both do.
Word.
It's dumb and counterfeit, but we're not going to get on that
Did you
soapbox.
see what the Pope just came out with, by the way? Crazy.
Yeah, for real.
Made me want to
Yeah,
convert.
literally.
But yeah, he's going to be really genuine with you. You just trust him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can seem really disingenuous in the world today when somebody's just that genuinely like, oh, what do you like? He does this thing at the open mic that he hosts. He'll go, "What's your favorite thing right now?" And like it's crowd work, but he does that. And when people are like, "Oh, that's a cool crowd work trick," I'm like, "No, I think he actually just really
He
wants
just
to know
is
that."
actually interested, yeah.
It just works out that he gets to ask everybody in the room whether they want him to or
Right.
not, and it's really fun because of that. But
I did steal that from someone, but yes.
But it works.
Yeah.
You would have stolen 9 other things if they would have worked better for you, but that one works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that's what I would say.
That's great. All right, Remy, your turn.
I don't agree with any of that, but okay.
That's why I said it.
No. Man, how do I be a good friend to BJ?
He's still trying to work that out. He's not really sure.
Give
Well-
us the so far.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I'm
been
kidding.
the challenge, is like, I think the best way that I know how to be a good friend to BJ, and what I would tell other people, is to be aware of how much he's giving to you.
Mm-hmm.
And to be mindful and to not take advantage of that, but to really, really like stop and observe what it is that this guy is willing to give to you as a friend, and know that it's very, very rare that someone can be as good of a friend, no matter the circumstance. Like BJ is one of those people who will. There's a bit of loyalty to his people.
Yeah.
And it's not like this blind loyalty. It's he just sees the value in the people around him. And the last thing you want to do as his friend is to take that for granted or to ignore it, but to actually approach all of your interactions as much as possible in the light of, this man is giving me more than any other friend would ever give to me. And so there's like, I guess I would say approach, if you want to be a good friend with BJ, would be to approach hit the friendship with as much gratitude as your heart can have for the kind of friend that he is. And to listen. I mean, I think it's both for both of us, is to listen and trust what they're saying. Because for BJ, outside of the feeling of being useful, BJ doesn't have a lot to gain by being my friend or saying the things that he says to me. So why would he lie? What does he gain by lying to me? Right? So, yeah, I think it's the best way to approach a friendship with BJ is to approach it with the deepest level of gratitude that your heart can muster.
I think that's great. I think that's lovely. Thank you both for coming back and for being here. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun talking to you both at the same time.
Cool. Thanks for having
Of course.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I love the work you're doing, and I'm glad that we got to come back and at least from my end, it be a less heavy conversation.
Yeah.
This is a stark contrast to if people were introduced to me last time.
Yeah, everyone, I agree with Remy. Go back and listen to that other one. It's lovely, but it's very different.
Very, very heavy.
Alrighty, well, thank you both.